So good morning, y'all. It's afternoon now, but I was busy this morning. I was outside and talking with my mom. Today's Mother's Day. But I wanted to go ahead and come in and do the Bible devotional. I don't think I was able to post yesterday. I was busy all day yesterday. And so I want to go ahead and post it now. Or the one today. And we're in week 2, day 4. So, day 4. Field of Hope. Our quick quoting verse for the day is 2 Corinthians 4:8-9. We are hard pressed on every side, but not crushed, perplexed, but not in despair, persecuted, but not abandoned, struck down, but not destroyed. Do you ever struggle with knowing what your next step to take is? Maybe you make the decision you are going to stick to your commitment out, and now you are wondering how it's going to play out. I have discovered with steps of commitment also come steps of uncertainty. It was no different for Ruth. Ruth and Naomi arrive in Bethlehem. They get settled. I picture Ruth with this look on her face, asking the question, now what? Naomi shrugs her shoulders. It was a good time for Ruth to ask this question because they had arrived in Bethlehem at just the right time, the beginning of the barley harvest. Barley is a type of wheat, and we see it mentioned several other times in the Bible. What does 1 Kings 4:28 say barley was used for? To feed the goats, to feed the horses, or to feed the fish. Let me go look at the verse real quick. 1 Kings 4:28 says, they also brought to the proper place their quotes of barley and straw for the chariots, horses, and other horses. So what does, Numbers 5:15 say barley was used for? Let's read that verse. Numbers 5:15. Then he is to take to his wife to the priest. He must also take an offering of 1/10 of an ephah of barley flour on her behalf. He must not pour oil on it or put incense on it, because it is a grain offering for jealousy, a remember offering to draw attention to guilt. Okay, it says, how many loaves of barley bread does John 6:9 say Jesus used to feed the 5,000? Let's go read that verse. John 6:9 says, here is a boy with 5 small barley loaves and 2 small fish. But how far will they go among so many? There's so much significance for Naomi and Ruth to arrive at the beginning of this harvest. Throughout the New Testament, we see Jesus using the concept of seed and harvest time in his teaching. And the harvest always signifies a time of new life after a long dead winter. Remember when we talked before about the difference between story time and story setting time? The author of Ruth knew this concept of arriving at the beginning of the barley harvest was a sign of better things to come, which might be why he included this detail in the story but left out other details. Even though this teaching is more than 2,000 years old, the concept of the beginning of the barley harvest is one for you and me today. Discouragement loves to tell us that the best days of our lives are behind us, but the expectancy of a season of harvest stirs in that passion, and us a passion to believe that the best days are yet to come. When we are working through these seasons of refinement, it can be easy for us to become discouraged. We can start to say things like, I'll never change, this situation will never be better, it's never going to happen. Maybe we need to take on a little Ruth spirit today and start to look at these seasons of refinement with a fresh perspective. Read Ruth 2:1-2. What does it say was Naomi's relative? What is the question Ruth asked Naomi? Now Naomi had a relative on her husband's side from the clan of Elimelech, a man of standing whose name was Boaz. And Ruth and the Moabites said to Naomi, let me go to the fields and pick up the leftover grain, behind anyone whose eyes I find favor. Naomi said to her, go ahead, my daughter. Instead of sitting around eating Hershey Kisses and begging out on Netflix, Ruth asked this very specific question. Can I get to work? It's like she knows if she doesn't start to put some movement in her life, she's going to fall into the cycle of defeat. She's tired of grieving process of feeling hopeless, and she made this commitment. Something has to change. I'm thinking today all that the areas of refinement in my life I'm facing. Perhaps I just need to work on them. I need to quit talking about them, quit anything analyzing them, quit waiting for the perfect movement or the perfect moment to get started and just get to work. I'm looking at my kitchen this morning. It's a mess. I'm tired of it being a mess. I've got to get to work on it. I'm just looking at the scale. It's not going to go down a minute in numbers. I'm tired of this struggling, so I've got to get to work. I'm tired of my thought process always conceiving me. I'm a failure, defeated, and not good enough for anything. I've got to get to work on retraining my thoughts. What is an area of your life that feels messy today? How can you get to work? What is something in your life that needs your rededication? How can you shift your focus to that area today? Today, whatever you need to get to work on, right now is the best time to start. We are hard pressed on every side, but not crushed, perplexed, but not in despair, persecuted but not abandoned, struck down but not destroyed. That's our quick quitting verse today. 2 Corinthians 4:8-9. It's the NIV. This one has come from the NIV. What are the 4 things our quick quitting verse tells us we are not as we walk through difficult situations? We're not crushed. We're not in despair. We're not persecuted. Or we're persecuted but not abandoned. And struck down but not destroyed. This is powerful for us as we continue to wade through assignments of refinement. It will be hard, but we do not have to quit. Read Ruth 2:3. What does Ruth do? Ruth 2:3. So she went out and began to glean in the fields behind the harvesters. And as it turned out, she found herself working in a field belonging to Boaz, who was from the clan of Elimelech. That's all for today on the devotional. I will see y'all later.